I've been feeling conflicted on how to respond to an invitation from the Government of National Unity to deliver a prayer at the presidential inauguration today. On the one hand, as I've said publicly on this platform, a government of national unity anchored by the two largest parties in South Africa, the ANC and the DA, has the potential to usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. It represents the best prospects for the success of our country: economic development, political stability, poverty alleviation, and the upliftment of more than 60 million South Africans, among them, of course, our precious Jewish community. This is especially clear when one considers the alternative that could have been. For the sake of the welfare of all South Africans, it is crucial for our government of national unity to succeed. And therefore, we have a moral imperative to support this bold endeavour and to help it to do so. On the other hand, it is a government that includes the same president and party who behaved in such a reprehensible and unforgivable way since October 7, supporting Hamas and Iran against Israel. And they remain unrepentant. More than that, there are strong indications that the ANC will continue to set the government agenda, at least when it comes to international relations and foreign policy. So that is the conflict: to support the government of national unity or not, to pray for it at the inauguration or not, to be part of helping it succeed or not. I found clarity from a time in history when a Jewish leader faced a similar dilemma. In 1939, David Ben-Gurion, who was to become the founding Prime Minister of the State of Israel, faced a heart-wrenching decision. The British government had just issued its notorious White Paper of 1939, limiting Jewish immigration to Israel to a trickle at the very moment Jews were desperately trying to escape Hitler's clutches. Essentially, the White Paper condemned Europe's Jews to death, ultimately making the British government an accomplice to the Holocaust. It was an evil policy to deny Jews safe haven in their ancestral homeland, acknowledged as such by the British government itself with its famous Balfour Declaration in 1917. The White Paper was issued under Arab pressure. The bitter irony was that the Palestinian leader of that time, Haj Amin al-Husseini, actually went on to spend the war years in Berlin as an ally of Nazi Germany. On the other hand, the British Army needed volunteers, and Jews who lived in the British Mandate of Palestine at the time were needed to assist the war effort against the Nazis. David Ben-Gurion, then the leader of the Jewish Agency, faced an impossible dilemma: join the British Army and support the government whose reprehensible White Paper had left Jews to be slaughtered, or refuse to join the British Army and thereby strengthen Nazi Germany. Ben-Gurion formulated a policy that held the opposites together, and he said, "We will fight with the British against Hitler as if there were no White Paper, and we will fight the White Paper as if there was no war." He came up with a policy that embraced the contradiction, encouraging Jews to join the British Army to help fight Nazi Germany, while doing everything in their power to oppose the White Paper and bring as many Jews into the British Mandate of Palestine as they could. Reflecting on this over the last few days helped me arrive at a paradigm for how we, the South African Jewish community, along with our fellow citizens who are people of faith and decency, should formulate our own policy of engagement with the new government of national unity in South Africa. Like David Ben-Gurion, we must embrace contradiction. On the one hand, we should support the government of national unity's efforts to uplift the lives of 60 million South Africans, and to do so with a full heart. South Africa needs all the skills and resources and brain power to help it succeed, and we must all play our part. And because all blessings come from God, that must include praying for its success, for God has chosen prayer as the vehicle to bring His blessings into this world. I have therefore requested from our rabbis that the prayer for South Africa recited in our shuls on Shabbat morning be amended to include mention of the government of national unity. At the same time, should the new government continue the vicious anti-Israel policies of its predecessor, we must continue to do as we have done, to oppose it fiercely. I pledge to you today that I will continue to use this platform and others, as I have done in the months since October 7, to fight them locally and globally, strengthening parallel diplomatic channels to Israel, lobbying Jewish and political leaders in Washington, vehemently opposing the South African government's relations with Iran, the largest state sponsor of global terror. I will continue to raise the issues of terror funding, the jihad against Africa's Christians, the dire threat of a nuclear Iran, and together we must all continue to speak out for the justice of the cause of the State of Israel and for the release of our hostages, while at the same time doing everything we can to help the government of national unity succeed. And there will be other government policies and actions that may require our opposition. A government of national unity made up of such diverse elements is by definition a government built on compromise. And for it to succeed will require open, robust disagreements, sometimes even fierce criticism. And so, holding all these aspirations in my heart, willing the new government to succeed, while staying loyal to our eternal values, I went today to the Union buildings, to the presidential inauguration, to pray to God to bless the government of national unity with success for the sake of 60 million South Africans. And today at the inauguration, I proudly wore a yellow ribbon to remind myself and all my fellow citizens, including the president and all who were there today, that no civilized nation can rest until evil is defeated and the hostages are freed. And in my prayer today, I reminded the new government that all blessing ultimately comes from God, who promised to Abraham in the book of Genesis, I will bless those who bless you, and those who curse you will I curse. And I reminded all who were present today that we long for the day when, as the book of Psalms says, God will return the captives of Zion. We will be like dreamers. Then our mouths will be filled with laughter and our tongues with glad song. May this government of national unity make itself worthy of the nation of heroes who elected it. May God bless South Africa. Inkosi sikaleli Africa.